Hello and welcome to another in the player profile series. I've got Sean with me again. Got an interesting player for you, Sean.
Have you? Oh, good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
very
So,
interested to see what you think of this guy.
who have you got today, and what's
Whether
their
he's a
ADP?
one-season wonder or whether he actually impressed you last year. His ADP is 50.
Yep.
His name is DJ Chark. What are your
Yep.
thoughts on DJ Chark at 50?
No, it's very good. He's another one in that kind of Terry McLaurin role where, he came on really well last year, came out of nowhere for me. I didn't really have him high enough on my radar. He was on our thoughts in terms of players to pick, but don't think we spoke anywhere nearly highly enough of this guy. And what he managed to do in the Jags offense is frankly phenomenal. It really is.
It was actually very, very, very.
And they're a team that are clearly going to be throwing all day. He's got a defined role, I think, in that team, and I think he showed because, one thing that's crystal clear with wide receivers is as the season progresses along and you start to do well, you face better coverages, and I actually felt he got better when he was facing tougher opponents. He looked good. So my hat's off to him. I'm very interested to see what he can do this year. He's going around an ADP where there's a lot of very interesting players at that ADP point, wide receiver-wise.
And is he one of the ones that'd be top of your list around that area?
Yeah, I think I'd be. He's one of them where you can't not put him on your list. I think you have to say you'd be happy to have his services because, he's a player that interests me. Touchdowns are difficult to predict, but he's going to have every chance to do well. And in redraft, that's what you're looking for. And if he was my wide receiver one, because I've already gone running back heavy, for example, I don't think that's too bad. I think he's got a chance to really beat his ADP, and maybe he finds his way into that top 15 list for wide receivers this year. Maybe he gets on the fringe of the top 10. It's possible.
It'd be most people's wide receiver too. So, they'd be quite happy with that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really give any rubs against him. I'm looking at
you're talking, start of the 5th round in 12-team league. So
I had concerns that, there are, like you do, you analyse a player and then you see what they do at the next level. And just sometimes some players just naturally just seem to get it. And he just seems to get the speed. He understands the minutiae details. He just really looked ready. And that really showed as the season went along. I just thought, wow, and the more I was really disappointed I didn't have any shares of him last year. So I kind of looked at that and went, and there's not much you can do in Dynasty because if you didn't own him last year, you ain't going to own him easily this year.
You're going to pay the price if you want him now, aren't you?
So it's a bit harder.
If you look at their receiving core, it's a bit like their running backs. He's a clear wide receiver one. Obviously, they've got Chris Conley and Keelan Cole and D.D. Westbrook will play in the slot. Obviously, Laviska Shenault, who they picked up in the draft, who could be an exciting player, but probably not for this year. He's clear number one there, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
He's going to be the main red zone threat, you think, if they're throwing it. So he seems 100%. To have a good chemistry with Gardner Minshew. He's going to be the QB all year, you'd think. They moved on from Nick Foles. He's gone to Chicago, so it's Minshew's gig now, isn't it? At least for a year, unless they do really badly and get Trevor Lawrence or somebody.
He was clearly his favourite target. The guy took great steps forward last year, and I think when a wide receiver starts this way, it's I don't think he's a one-year wonder. No, I think the opportunity, the volume. I mean, we talk about opportunity trumps talent. I think this kid's talented. You add the opportunity in, and
what's not to like, really?
There's not much I can say where I can. I can't find any argument why anybody would say it's a bad pick at 50. I mean, you'd be struggled to find any kind of real red flag there because it just doesn't make any sense to argue it. You just think, around that area, there are a few players I'm looking at. He's certainly one of them, and I'd be happy to get his services.
Yeah, I tend to agree, actually. It's one of them players that was sort of, he got quite a few sort of bigger receptions as well. So
definitely. I mean, he can play.
You could see 8 to 10 touchdowns again, couldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to come in a team like the Jags and, being honest and being like the real, the alpha male wide receiver, the guy that comes in and takes the load on. That's actually quite difficult to do. That's why they've got as wide receiver 2, as you mentioned.
Well, they've moved on to all their old receivers. Like Alan Robinson's got a long time. Marcus Lee moved on to New England.
You mentioned all the guys who are likely to fill the wide receiver 2 role with bit part play here and there and a few splash catches now and again. But this guy just looked absolutely legitimate. And I was actually really thinking, wow. And he really is one of those players that I would have, you can't put a guy like that on a bold prediction list that I would do in my own sort of my view on who should go.
Why can't you? Tell me why you can't.
Because he's not, he's already done something where I don't think that the growth, there will be some growth there, but I kind of feel he has a niche role. There isn't enough supporting cast around him to take another step forward. There's some struggling issues in the team. So although he might improve on his numbers a bit, as in, a few more yards, it kind of feel at the moment,
there's no massive upside either.
No, but he's certainly no problem picking him at 50. No issue at all. Happy days, very solid. I think he absolutely returns value because we always look at it. I do anyway. I always look at it. If you're talking the big leads, it's round 4. I only need him to return for me 140 points at round 4 value. He's more than capable of that. That's great. Happy days, pick him. And in small leagues, he's easily going to return your value. So you've got no problem taking this guy and you feel comfortable. It's a nice, safe pick. With some upside, a little bit, but you don't mind if it's a fraction. If fraction fails, he's still going to hit. If he falls a little bit, he's still going to hit that floor that you want, and you're okay with it.
Yeah, so, I totally agree with everything you said. To be honest, which is unusual. So
yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. We don't always agree. Yeah.
I mean, if you can see any sort of great upside, let us know. Something we missed, or if you just
or grey area,
let us know. I mean, maybe you don't just Minshew.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to seeing Laviska Shenault, and we're not going to see probably much of him this year. But I think in future years, he's a player to watch. So
definitely
keep an eye on him as well. But,
I think for this year is a little tricky to judge. For a lot of
young guy. He's a young guy. I think he might get involved at some point, maybe towards the end of the year, but definitely want to keep an eye on for the future.
As our dear friend Shani says, it may be in Laviska Shenault's case when he scores his points. If he scores them towards the end of your fantasy season, that could be very useful for you to run into the championships. He might be a player to watch then, but at the moment, we're
just
kind of a little bit more reserved. Yeah,
watch and observe. Keep an eye on him. How much he gets involved, and if they keep, because. These you do get odd players that come in at the end of fantasy years and and win your championships, like the Brian Hills, the Mike Jones. You get these sort of players. So, okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Leave any comments you like down in the comment section below, and subscribe for more. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks, Sean.
See you next time. No problem. See you soon now.